we're going to start with a brief introduction to STAR and the Equal Access campaign, in case this is your first time interacting with us. And then we're going to run through some of the key details that you need to know when applying for a scholarship. So firstly, what is a sanctuary scholarship? We'll talk a bit about student finance and if you might be eligible for it. Then we'll give you a run through of the main steps for applying for scholarships, the top tips that we would give applicants in terms of research and preparation, supporting statements and references. And then, as I mentioned, in the second half, you'll have the chance for a one-on-one chat with the STAR volunteer in breakout rooms. So firstly, an introduction to STAR. STAR is Student Action for Refugees, and we are a movement of students building a society where refugees are welcomed and supported to thrive as equal members of the community. So this is done through STAR groups at universities across the country, and we get involved in lots of different activities such as volunteering, educating to raise awareness on campus, fundraising, and campaigning. And one of the big campaigns that STAR groups are involved in is the Equal Access campaign. This is a campaign that was set up by STAR and is led by us in partnership with the National Union of Students. And it's been going on for about 13 years now. We've been campaigning nationally for equal access to higher education for refugees and people seeking asylum. So we want to reduce the barriers that exist to accessing higher education so that people who have sought refugee protection can access university in the same way that anyone else can. And we do this through lots of different activities. We're involved in campaigning for increased opportunities at universities. We help universities to develop scholarships and access programs. We help to raise awareness of opportunities among people who might be eligible, for example, through events like this. And we work with partners in the sector to try and deliver policy change and make the wider environment more favourable. So what you'll notice there in that list, we're not directly involved in administering scholarships. We work with universities that administer scholarships, but the scholarships themselves are controlled by the universities. So you'll hear us say a few times today that if you have questions about a specific scholarship, it's always worth getting in touch with the university because they have control over their scholarship and they're the ones that make the decisions about it. And what are we talking about when we talk about sanctuary scholarships? Well, this is a general term given to packages of financial support that are provided by universities to help people who face barriers to higher education because of their immigration status. That's the general idea. This is a way of giving financial support so that people can access university. You might see that they have different names at different universities. Sometimes they're called Article 26 scholarships, for example, or equal access scholarships. They are all part of the same initiative, and you can see a full list on the STAR website. But as I already mentioned, they are administered by individual universities, so they are quite different in nature. And the first thing that you'll hear us recommend is that it's important to research the university that you're applying to and to see what exactly they're offering, because different universities offer different things. This might be that they have different eligibility criteria. So some are only open to people who are currently seeking asylum, for example, while others include other immigration statuses. They might have different restrictions on what courses are covered, whether it's undergraduate courses or postgraduate courses or both, or sometimes additional access courses. They offer different levels of financial support, ranging from a fee waiver, meaning that you aren't paying any fees, to some that include a financial bursary, so a cash payment to support your studies, while others offer in-kind support. So that might be things like accommodation or other materials that you need to study. And they all also have a different application process. So each university will have its own application form. They will have an opening date and a closing date. And it's important that you check the university to find out what those dates are. So to show you some examples, just as a snapshot of how different scholarships can be, we'll look at 3 different examples briefly. This is the Compass project at Birkbeck, which I know some of you are looking to apply for. And there are a few different things that we want to look at when we're looking for a scholarship. You can see here what's included. So the Compass project scholarship includes a full tuition fee waiver, meaning you're not paying any fees, and there will be some additional financial support, but it does not include accommodation. So that's important to note. If you need accommodation, this might not be appropriate for you, but if you live in London and you're able to access Birkbeck without accommodation being provided, then this might be suitable. You can see the eligibility here. They prioritize applicants who haven't previously studied before in the UK and who have been out of formal education for more than 5 years. And this links as well to the types of courses that the scholarship applies to. This scholarship is very much geared towards helping people to transition back into higher education who might have been out of education for a number of years. So it includes things like a certificate of higher education, a foundation year, right up to a master's program. You can see how to apply and the application date, so it opens soon. And the other thing you want to take note of is the contact here. You can get in touch with any other questions that you have. Okay, so that's the Compass project. If we go over to the Sanctuary Scholarship at the University of Bristol, you'll see that it's quite different. So here the course is covered also foundation degrees, but also full-time undergraduate and part-time undergraduate degrees and full and part-time postgraduate degrees. The eligibility criteria are different to the Compass project. If we click through to the full eligibility criteria, these are slightly different. They include people with refugee status, who aren't eligible for the Compass project. And you can read a lot more about the different implications of studying different courses here, as well as ineligible courses like medicine, dentistry, veterinary science. In terms of the award that's offered, you'll see that it varies depending on your situation and what level of financial support you might be eligible for elsewhere. So that's a different setup to the Compass project. Again, they have contact details here, so you can get in touch for more information. And the final example, the Asylum Seeker Scholarship at the University of Strathclyde. First difference you might notice here is what's included. So it covers tuition fees, travel costs, equipment and study costs. So this is an example of a scholarship that provides in-kind support rather than an amount of money that you would get from Birkbeck or Bristol. Here you are getting materials or support with costs through something like a travel pass rather than by receiving a bursary. And you'll see down here in the eligibility criteria, applicants must live within the Glasgow area. So you can only apply to this scholarship if you are housed in Glasgow, because accommodation isn't included here. And in terms of other eligibility criteria, you can see the scholarship is open only to people who are currently seeking asylum, or if you've been offered leave to remain based on Article 8 of the European Convention on Human Rights. And the courses that are covered here, it's undergraduate courses and postgraduate taught courses, not postgraduate research courses. Okay, and they have a Contact Us tab where you can get in touch for further details. So those are just 3 examples to show you the variety of scholarships that are on offer. And why I wanted to highlight that is because you'll see, we'll talk about more in the research stage, it's important to consider if the support that the university is offering is right for you. So do you meet the eligibility criteria? And does that package that they are offering cover your needs? So if you need accommodation, then you perhaps won't be looking at the Compass project that doesn't provide accommodation. And if you don't live in Glasgow, you won't be looking at the University of Strathclyde scholarship. You need to make sure that this support that is being offered will cover you for all of your degree needs. And that is also relevant to your personal situation. If you are on asylum support, this may be affected by receiving a large amount of money from a university. So if that's your situation, then you need to get guidance, ideally from your solicitor, about the impact that this could have on your asylum support. But if you are receiving in-kind support, such as that from the University of Strathclyde, that's far less likely to have an impact on your asylum support. And the same for legal aid. If the amount of money that you are receiving means that you are no longer eligible for legal aid based on means testing, then that's something that you should talk to your solicitor about prior to accepting the scholarship. So that's the scholarships that are available. I also just want to briefly talk about student finance. This is government student support and the possibility to apply for a loan to cover your tuition fees and your living costs while at university. If you are eligible for student finance, then I would recommend applying for this as well as applying for scholarships. And this is something that most students in the UK use to support their studies. And here is a kind of simplified version of eligibility based on your immigration status and where you might be in the UK. You'll see here that, in brief, people who are seeking asylum are not eligible for student finance here, and also liable to be charged international fees, which are a higher rate to home fees. For people with other statuses, it varies depending on where you are in the UK. And there are also additional residency requirements and issues related to your previous study that might affect your eligibility for student finance. So we'll be sending these slides around afterwards, but do have a look at the UKISA website to check the exact eligibility criteria to see what you are eligible for. And I should also add, although the default is that people seeking asylum are charged international fees rather than home fees, individual universities have the ability to charge home fees at their own discretion. So check with the university that you're applying to, because it might be that they charge you home fees instead. And with that, I will hand over to Aruba to take us through the main steps to applying.
Hi everyone. So thank you, Siobhan, for that handover. So the first thing for any university is to check out if your required course is being offered by them. That is done through UCAS, or you need to research on it. Basically, extensive research. But as a person who's also going to be applying for a scholarship, you need to keep in mind that you need to check if the university also gives that scholarship as well for that course that you're applying to. For example, like Siobhan told us that Bristol doesn't give scholarships for medicine. So just keep in mind, if you're applying for medicine, do not apply to the universities that do not give that scholarship. That's a start. So then once you've chosen the university that you want to apply to, you apply as an undergraduate through UCAS, or as a postgraduate directly to the university. Some of the universities have an online application, while others would say that you fill in a paper form and send it back to them. Once you've been accepted onto the course of your choice, which can be anything starting from biosciences to chemistry to math to engineering, anything. Once you have been accepted for the course, that's when you start applying for the scholarship. However, I shall point out that some of the universities do accept if you submitted the application and you haven't been accepted yet, you can still apply for the scholarship. And in that category, we have Newcastle University. However, others do others do push that you do accept their offer of the offer of the course that you want to study. You do accept them as your firm choice, and then you go forward and apply for the scholarship. It's different for every university, it's different for every course, so you need to do extensive research at the very beginning of your at the very beginning of your application. So there's no one stopping you to ask from asking the university if you can go back and you can apply to them. There's no one stopping you from asking the university if you would if you can apply for the scholarship later on, what is that they require, how you can do it. Like, just ask them, be as open to them, be in conversation with them. That's how you understand the whole program, that's how you understand the whole scholarship process as well. um, like we've indicated that almost all scholarships require applicants to have a place at university. That is true for at least 80% of the university. So just keep in mind, just do extensive research before you go on and apply for the university. And Siobhan, if we move on to the next slide. Thanks. So these are some top tips from the applicants that you need to do extensive research and preparation. In that, with that in mind, I shall pass on to Puljan to tell you more about these top tips.
Oh, hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. And I'm sure what I'm going to tell you will actually help you to prepare in terms of how you're going to research your information. So first of all, for me, how I have analyzed research and preparation, I've sort of like gave re as repeated, and I gave search, and pre is preference, and preparation, I put an O and I went like operation. So it is imperative to repeatedly read and contrast the various universities with their scholarship application guidance information, because then that gives you more understanding as to what it is that is expected of you. And because this helps as well with researching for the information, for the right information to use, and in determining what sorts of ways to write a compelling personalized application or a statement, because each and every university, you either going to write a personalized statement, or you have to fill in an application. And by doing that, also it helps by attending information session events. So the purpose of attending this, it actually gives you an overview of what is expected of you. And then it also gives you that inability to sort of like understand what each and every university requires in terms of how you're going to go about making this application. So I really recommend that people, they take it into consideration that attending this information session is very, very important. And also, reading the application guidance carefully is very, very important, because by doing that, it also, makes you to filter the information that will be suitable in order for you to use it to make an operational, a sound operational decision. It's also important to get in touch with the university as well when you are making this application prior to making a selection of which universities that you are planning to study with. Because what I have experienced is that when you make a decision about the university and you make it in a harsh way, you might end up finding that there are certain information that you are not eligible, you are not eligible for, or you are not eligible to you're not eligible to apply. Probably you are doing a postgraduate, a master's, a medicine or veterinary medicine. I found out that some universities, they don't offer the scholarship. Soban, can you move to the next slide, please? So there are key questions that you have to ask yourself when you're going through this repeat research and preference operation. You have to, make sure that you do meet the eligible criteria for the scholarship in terms of your status and in terms of your credentials. Because as you know, according to Oruba, what she said, that you have to make sure that, there are people who have studied here in the UK, they might not be eligible for the scholarship, or they might not be eligible even to get into a university. So, and then also, does the scholarship cover the course that you are applying to? Because certain courses are not, accommodated by the scholarship. As Oruba, she's already made, more information about that. Is a university a good fit for you? And this is another problem that I has also encountered, making a decision. Let's say, for an example, you are given an offer by your 5 universities. How are you going to go about choosing the right university that is a best fit line according to what you are expecting? So you have to make sure that you do a thorough research in regards to this. And then also, you have to also look into whether they will support on offer be sufficient for you to complete your studies. Because, certain universities, they don't provide a scholarship. Certain scholarships don't provide support for people who want to study 5 years. So they might say that, listen, we can only provide for only 4 years tuition fees. And certain universities, they might say, listen, we cannot make provision if you want to go and do a placement. So you have to make sure that you look into these things. So if you have a conditional offer from a university and you are likely to be able to meet the condition of this offer, well, let me say this, guys. Sometimes some of the universities, they'll give you the offer with a condition, and then also find that you have to be able to produce distinction on each and every subject that you are studying. So if you have to make sure that you will have the capacity to meet this condition. If not, please, you need to filter yourself down and make it a point that you choose that university that you know that, listen, this one, I can meet these conditions. Thank you so much, Sobian.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Daniel. I'm going to say a few words on supporting statements. So your supporting statement, it's your opportunity to tell the university more about your academic, personal and financial situation and why the scholarship will be valuable to you. It's separate to your personal statement that you would have submitted to university. So of course, this is something to know that you shouldn't just copy and paste your personal statement into your supporting statement. The university should already have access to the personal statement that you would have submitted. So each university has their own guidelines for the supporting statement, and it's important that you read these carefully. So you want to have a look at why the scholarship will help you fulfill your future goals. You want to look at why the scholarship in particular is the best fit for you. You may wish to take this opportunity to explain the challenges that you've overcome. However, you should not feel obligated to include everything about your prior experiences that you do not feel comfortable sharing here. You need to make sure that you always feel comfortable with what you're putting on your supporting statement. So this is also an opportunity for you to celebrate your achievements, to tell the university about your relevant experience that has helped you to prepare for university. So this could be volunteering experience, your voluntary experience, online or self-directed learning, in addition to other courses that you may have attended or books that you have read, and the ways that you have engaged with the university. So if you've been to an open day or an online event, any kind of event that you have engaged with the university, those are good things to include as well. So yeah, you want to read the questions / guidance carefully and make sure that all the information you include is relevant. Also include specific examples to illustrate your strengths. You may wish to show some awareness of other problems you may face at university. And with that, you want to show how you'll manage them. For example, how the cost of the scholarships may not cover aspects such as accommodation or transport or other caring responsibility. This caring responsibilities, this goes along with the things we've said already of making sure that you have the best fit with the scholarship and your personal circumstances. So if we're able to go to the next slide. So yeah, there are a few different styles. A university will want a personal statement to be written. So the first style, this is following the example from Nottingham. This is a single personal statement addressing different aspects. Here, Nottingham asks for a specific focus on the university and practicalities of how you'll complete your studies. So yeah, you can see that Nottingham would ask for around 500 words, and they would want the statement to address the following areas. So you can see the bullet points there. You would want to make sure that you cover every single aspect of those points, making sure that you try to give examples. And this is something that we'll go into in more depth further on in this workshop. But this is one particular style. There is also another style as seen from Strathclyde. So style 2 is answering a series of questions. So you would want to notice the difference here. Strathclyde asked about the wider community, while Nottingham didn't. So make sure you would adjust your application. I'm sure people may be applying for more than one scholarship. So you want to make sure that you want to make sure that your scholarship is adjusted for each application. So here, Strathclyde asking those specific different questions. And the third style can be seen in an example for Brunel. So this is asking broad questions. All the general guidance that we have given and will give will apply here. So yeah, I think from here, I'll pass over to Mariam.
Yep, thank you, Daniel. So I'm Mariam, so I'll just be speaking to you a little bit more about how to approach the questions and how to answer them. So kind of like the method of writing your answers. So in your supporting statement for scholarships, with kind of bearing everything and keeping everything in mind about what Daniel and Praljin mentioned of the skills, the knowledge, and everything you can contribute and include in your application, the best way to make sure that you are answering all of those questions clearly and you're giving the university a full picture of all your skills is to use this method. So it's the PEE method, point, evidence, explain. So for example, here there is one of the key skills you can choose, for example, resilience, hard work, patience, anything like that. So any kind of key skill. In this example, it's resilience. This is your point. And then providing evidence for resilience. So this is the example that you can provide. So saying how were you resilient? What kind of thing proves or shows this? And again, you don't have to go into detail about the situation specifically, but you can just briefly explain that you have, for example, faced challenges and have overcome these challenges. And this required a lot of kind of, strength and power and resilience. And you can, specify or include as much or as little information as you want, but kind of keeping the limits there and all the useful information there. And then explaining that and saying how this overcoming of this challenge or a problem or issue you faced will help you on the course. So kind of relating it back to what you're applying for. And you can kind of apply this to anything. So it can be to your academic studies and to say that you are a resilient person, you face many challenges, you managed to do your research and overcome them and find different solutions. This shows that you can apply this to your course that you're applying for now, and it proves your kind of problem solving skills as well. So you can kind of link it to different things depending on what you are applying for. So you can use this PEE method for all of the sections and any question in the application. It's just making sure that you have the 3 pieces of information there. Thank you for moving the slide. So this is the example in full. So this is an example from Birkbeck as well. So you'll have the links and more information about this in the guidance that Siobhan shared. So you can say one of my strongest skills is resilience. I faced a number of challenges in my life, including being a single parent, and have shown determination to succeed and overcome these difficulties. I could apply this approach to my studies and to overcome issues which might arise during this course. Again, you can change this and explain it, depending on your situation and what kind of question you're answering. But it shows to the university that you've understood the question, you've kind of answered or addressed the question specifically, but you've also tried to relate it back to your course and why you're applying for the scholarship. So it makes sure that you cover everything. Can you move on to the second, next slide, please? Thank you. So this is the references part. So not all universities will ask for a reference, but most of them will. So you'll find this in the requirements page on the university's scholarship page. And each university will have their own guidelines and conditions, so what they need from your reference. So this information, if you find it on the website, then kind of stick to it, and it will be different from one university to another. So, don't assume that if one university has certain requirements, that all the universities will be the same. So try to find that information. And if you're not sure, the best thing to do would be to ask the university. So on the same page of the scholarships, you should find an email address there for someone that you can contact for further questions. And that's the email you can contact to ask more questions. If there is information there, then it probably ideally should be a reference that is different from the reference you gave in your UCAS application. Or if you applied for a master's, the kind of reference, if you gave a reference in the beginning, will be different or should be different to the one for the scholarship. But again, just make sure with the university. The university might specify also how long the referee has known you for. So the person that gives you a reference should definitely be someone that knows you very well, knows how kind of your aspirations, maybe your goals in the future, how much you want this scholarship. Maybe it's a tutor or someone that has worked with you. But sometimes they do specify who the referee should be in terms of their job or role. But some examples, if it's general, it could be a caseworker, an educator, a lawyer, a supervisor, someone that was a tutor for you at college, or someone that has taught you before. And some universities, if you don't have any referee in the UK, some of them do allow you to get a reference from someone abroad outside the UK. So check with the university specifically, but this is definitely possible because some universities do accept it. And if they do accept it, then if you have more than one referee in the UK or outside, just think of who would be the best person and who knows you best to be giving the university a reference about you or kind of a background about you. And I think this concludes my section. I think it's Aruba.
So thanks, Miriam, for that. So our key takeaways from this is that if you are basically unsure of anything, just try to contact the university. They are really helpful and they will help you figure out what to do in what situation. Any adverse situation, just contact them. This also builds a level of relationship, a level of trust with the university as well, so you can go back and contact them about anything. The application, just use the application as a window to tell them about yourself, how the scholarship will help you reach your goals, and why the university should keep you under consideration when giving the scholarship. So it's the window, like there's a very famous quotation, it's a window to the soul. That is what implies over here. It is that window, just use that appropriately and do like Daniel said, like Piljan said, like Mariam said, use it, answer the questions as precisely as they're asking you to. Do not go here and there, just let them see your soul, but at the same time do not show it extensively. And however, there are chances that you might be unsuccessful. Do not take it too hard because it's a very competitive process, and there are so many people in the same boat as us who are trying to get into the university with that same scholarship, with that same reason as you are trying to get that scholarship. So do not be disheartened, just try again. You'll be, who knows, you'll be successful the next time around. And who knows, you might be the person that other people who's successful and the other people are competing against. So no one knows. So yeah, that those are the key takeaways. Just be sure that you do not give up. So back to you, Siobhan.
Great, thank you all so much for that excellent presentation. So I should say I put in the chat the guidance document that contains everything that we've said in written form, and we'll send that and these slides by email after the workshop. So do go away and have a read of that as well. What the next steps are right now or after a short break, this will be a chance to ask general questions that have come up or to discuss your application with your mentor. So you could look at the particular university that you're applying to, look at the application process, or if you've already started working on it, you can look at that. Then, as I said, after the workshop, you can read the guidance document and continue to feed that into your scholarship applications. But as we've mentioned, there may also be concerns that you need to follow up with the university that you're applying to. So don't shy away from getting in touch with the university, because that's also a good opportunity to build a relationship with them so that they get to know you a bit more. And at the bottom of your scholarships guidance document, there are some links to other resources that might be helpful. We had a couple of examples here of written paragraphs that were taken from a Birkbeck video from the Compass Project, which is a great series of videos about applying for scholarships. It's produced by Birkbeck, but a lot of the advice that they give applies to other scholarships. So do go away and have a look at those as well. But